test, and then they move on. There's no continual removal of water. It's just simply for a test. It would almost be like soil probes or something like that, which they did those as well.
Okay. And no offense to this, but if you're a developer, what would you do first? Like, what's the first step that they're going to take? Knowing all the facts, I mean, what should we expect to see first from the developer once they start?
Right now, he's getting his ducks in a row. That's exactly, because the township made it clear to him several months back. I mean, my goodness, this was October last year.
Ready for the election, yeah.
Yeah. That they were not interested, so he was coming back with a by right plan, knowing that, and knowing the uphill battle that he has in front of him, meaning that the township is not in favor of it. He's going through the ordinance and he's getting his ducks in a row. So he's doing anything from a water standpoint. He's getting his soil testing done to know where he can do his infiltration testing for the stormwater management, because there is ordinance requirements there that require him to choose the best soil locations to do infiltration. Because I'm sure any resident of Upper Frederick knows that basically it's clay throughout the whole township. You know, with the development you recently did, nothing really gets into the ground. There are those unique locations. So he's getting his ducks in a row to make sure that, in fact, if the entire site is that way, he's going to look for relief because he can infiltrate. And there are certain allowances for that. But that's really what he's doing. He's getting all of his preliminary data together, so for his riparian buffers, for his steep slopes, for all that kind of stuff, what's going to actually be defined as woodland area versus just simply hedgerows that don't qualify, because you've got gross and net areas for his dwelling units. So he's going to find out what existing features he has to net out to find out what he can get from it. I'm surprised he has not submitted by now. I really am.
And that's the next step for him to submit the application. I mean, that's what
It could come in tomorrow with, stack of plans this high. I mean, that would be pretty significant.
Cool.
But there's nothing else that I'm aware of. I mean, literally haven't gotten an email. So, but when we found out that he was doing something out there, jumped on it, got in touch with the supervisors and recommended, look, somebody should be out there witnessing what's going on. Now, they're going to have reports that are issued by a professional geologist, so on and so forth, and that's fine. But, we went through this, 7 or 10 years ago, the first time he came knocking at the door, and kept him at bay. So I'm sure he will try again and, with more, gusto than he did the first time.
Perfect. Thank you. One last item, I see we're short a supervisor. The last 4 meetings, there hasn't been. Is there any announcements? Is there any issues going on with not to have a full board of supervisors? Do you know of anything? Was it notified? Was it? Did you learn about the absence before the meeting?
Didn't know he wasn't coming this evening. I thought he would be here, but I have nothing I can put forward this evening for you.
I was just wondering why you're late, but thank you. That's all I
I
have.
appreciate you asking. Norm, I got a question for you. Who did you tell that someone should be out there to oversee these studies? Because I wrote an email into the township here asking why nobody was out there. I asked specifically if you were going to be there, because I said, if he's paying someone to come out here and do it, who's there to put the checks and balance and make sure they're reporting the numbers correctly?
We did have someone out there.
We did?
Yeah, we did have someone. I spent the time on Tracy. Okay, and made that recommendation, and I was given the okay to do that. I assumed that she had checked with the supervisor.
That would have been last year, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I would.
Yes. No, this was recent. This wasn't recent, this was months ago.
Okay, because
When they
recently,
started.
so I had recently asked. So you had somebody there to witness the water infiltration test. So I looked that up there, and that's fairly important. As you said, we're all clay here, and I knew it would limit abilities.
Right.
So I was hoping someone was standing over the general shoulder to make sure. Well studied.
12 years
Answer
long
about the well study.
My wife went be.
Hey, so when we talked about the well study, you were saying, it's not an ongoing thing, him tapping that well. I thought there was an ordinance in place that he had to tap that well, and then it was over time, we got to see how long, and the effects of that water table there, and the gentleman brought up about other residents pulling from different sections of the aquifer and everything else. So again, is that the case?
To my knowledge, that was not what was being done. He was checking for water supply and availability. That had not been triggered. In other words, he was just out there from a feasibility standpoint, just to see if he had enough water to be able to do it. And then they would have to go through the recently adopted well ordinance. So
Okay,
that, to my
so
knowledge,
there's
that is not
another hurdle
certain.
yet to be.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the
Absolutely.
importance of us getting on top of these, and the ordinances and zoning and everything else. I keep telling everybody, this guy didn't go away.
No.
He's waiting, you know, and we need to be a little more proactive here. Now I got everybody in place. That's what I want to see out of everybody. We're gonna get out in front of this, because he's not the slacker that he's being made out to be. This guy's one of the most savviest developers out there, and he's known all over. So we need to be out in front of him with everything we can do legally. You know how to do it.
The only thing that makes me curious is if we have not heard from him yet, maybe the results that he got were not
Favorable.
very good. So fingers
Did your
crossed on that.
person attending, would they be able to
Yeah.
know that from observing? Or
No.
they have to get results and have them out? I mean, I don't know.
No, the person we had attend had an SEO background. I wanted to make sure they were familiar with soils and what was being done predominantly from an infiltration testing standpoint. So they're familiar with that, and they have a background with doing that. So they were looking at basically just how they're filling out the forms, what are they doing, as far as the accuracy of it. That's gonna be stamp sealed authentication, sorry about that. So I'd be hard pressed. And not only that, the firm that was doing it is not tied, they were hired by him. They're not tied to him. I would highly suggest that they would not jeopardize their, for that, just that particular job.
I would suggest it, but it wouldn't be unheard.
Well,
Right?
well.
And then my thing is this, why wouldn't someone from us be there to represent us? I'm sorry, Steve, I know you gotta go. You
Well,
know,
and again, it's gonna be, oops, I didn't know, I didn't think about that or whatever. And again, when it gets down to it, he's gonna be submitting reports that are gonna be stamped, sealed, they're gonna be,
yeah.
you know, but again, that being the case, to me, when I heard that was happening, and we heard like, almost like a whisper down the lane kind of thing, I called Tracy and I'm like, I really think, it's up to you guys, but I really think somebody should be out there watching, because they were doing, I think they planned on doing 150 perks and wound up doing like 140 or something like that. So for several days. Now, they had like 6 crews out there at one time, so our guy was running around
Right.
like a nut, but he was there for like, 2-3 days, making sure, that it passed the litmus test kind of thing.
And your person didn't bring back any concerns?
No. He said by his observation, they were doing it as they should be. And again, we've had, and I forget the name of the outfit, but had nothing to be worried about with the name of the outfit. They were reputable. If they were that reputable, I should recognize them. I mean, remember it, but I do not. And I apologize for that. But yeah, he did not come back with any concerns or alarms or anything like that.
Got a saying, trust no one, everyone's a suspect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no.
No, and I'm being serious.
Yeah.
My thought is, would it be, unheard of for someone from inside this township to step out there and look, and make sure that's what they're doing.
Mhm. Yeah, and the other thing is depending on what the results are, there's no reason why we can't locate where they were done and do a couple spot tests ourselves to
Bang.
see if
That's
we
what I'm
come
talking
back with the same results.
Because again, I trust nobody, especially when it comes to development. That's millions of dollars you could care. That's about us.
Oh, I said that, so maybe some people wouldn't do it.
Right. Okay. Anything else from the paper, Miss Lisa? Anything else from you, Mr. Walliser? Miss Vicky? Anybody else? Any public comment?
I just have one quick question.
State your name, where you live?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Yeah, but I just have one quick question for Aaron and our new solicitor. It has to do with general records retention. As far as compliance, do you feel as though that's something that is an important task that needs to be done at the township level.
Definitely. So the Pennsylvania Museum and Historic Commission, I think it is, has a manual for records retention for municipalities, and it tells you how long each different category of items should be held. There are certain documents that should be held forever.
And disposal.
And the township should have, and I don't know whether they do or not, but a records retention policy itself too, that says after so long, this is what we destroy. And normally what we see is when it's time to destroy certain records, like financial records, I think it's 7 years. Normally what happens is when it's time for those records to be destroyed, because you've hit the 7-year mark, you'll see a formal resolution come in front of the board with a list of what it is that's going to be destroyed and what category they fall under. So yes, record retention is very important.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get a feel for what you thought about that, you and Aaron.
Yes.
Because I think out of everyone, you're probably going to be the most involved in that. Of course, other people, Bill and Lisa and Sean, but, so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of,
I'm pretty sure the records retention destruction occurs with Community Day, because they do a shredder event.
Yeah.
And so that prior to Community Day, the motion will be passed with the document indicating which documents are up for shredding.
well,
And
there's
then at
an
Community Day.
official manual that's put out by the state of Pennsylvania. I'm sure you all know that.
Yep.
But just for public knowledge.
I will say I haven't read our procedure. I haven't seen that yet. But from my personal practice, in my past positions, I tend to be conservative on that list and usually hold in excess of, what is, the limits. It's better to have the records on hand past the date than not, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I do know that gets advertised on our website too.
Yes.
I did see that in the past, like you had said. I saw it on there, so I didn't know that's a public topic there. Okay, upcoming meetings, Park and Recreation, June 25th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Planning Commission's meeting. Oh, I think you said something, I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
Planning Commission meeting, June 27th, 2024, 7 p.m. Announcements, suggestion box for Community Day, other community events. And don't forget to register for ReadyMontco emergency alerts. Is that everything else? Anybody else? I'm sorry. Name, address?
Yep, Lee, Ecken Road, Figleyville Road. Is there anything for like setbacks for yard signs? I'm asking every now and then at the salon coming out of Figleyville Road. There are times I can't see towards Schwanksville with their, discount signs or whatever they have every now and then. It should be a fairly easy thing to fix everything, but,
I don't hit the salon.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. It's a normal.
On the plan, there should be a recorded clear sight triangle, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's 75 feet. So if you measure back 75 feet in both directions, strike a line, anything inside that should not be obstructing view. And I believe it's anything higher than 30 inches.
Okay.
So we could look into it and,
Yeah, these sound like they might be temporary signs, maybe.
Yeah, but it's
Special
not-
advertisements.
Yeah, well, and again, I'm just responding to what you said, but accidents are permanent, to me, so.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those things where, I think they should still be notified and, we'll let them know, this kind of thing, so. But we can do that if that's the wish of the board.
I don't know what could do about, it's there, but coming up from Schwanksville to go left, sometimes there's a lot of people rush hour time trying to get out of Figleyville Road in 73. Somebody goes in, but they can't make the turn in, and you got like 2 or 3 others coming in off 73. It's like, where do we go? We got people coming from Boyertown.
We had a fire call there with a bad accident this past week.
Oh,
So I just heard about it. I told you I talked to a lady on Big Road, yeah.
so
Realized it.
Lee, are they temporary signs? Is that
For
what
the signs, yeah, it's just like their, gift card signs or whatever.
For Mother's Day.
I'm thinking that could cause it, Dave, the gentleman couldn't see past, is that what you?
No, I don't know that. I just know that the accident was there. One coming out of there, one on 73.
And I think
The young lady actually worked in the beauty salon that was in the accident. And she did have to go in the ambulance.
And on the trucks with Nitro Road, doesn't the state have regulations of what kind of trucks can run on various roads depending on their, has that been asked about or looked into? Or can the
Run into
state,
this
so can the
road,
state
yeah.
do something about that?
Yeah, with PennDOT, the issue is getting a hold of someone, getting your questions answered, because they've got a lot of regulations that they require of municipalities if you're doing work inside their right of way. But what they do themselves versus what they require of municipalities very often are two different things.
We have local politicians, can't they be pulled a little bit,
Well,
pushed, whatever?
Absolutely, and that would be a place you would go and start.
Sort of take it out of our, because it's a state road, isn't it? Nitro?
You could start with Don from PennDOT, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's his last name?
We don't know.
PennDOT.
PennDOT.
Don PennDOT.
Everybody else? Ms. Kratz? I see you back there.
You guys are doing a good job. So regardless of negative things I've seen in the paper, I've heard, you're doing good with what you were dealt with. So
I'll tell you
kudos
what.
to you, Lisa.
This is the hell of a, that's my damn favorite meeting right here. Golly.
Oh, yeah, they're starting to grow.
I appreciate everybody coming out. Thank you so much. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, aye. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Be a lawyer at all these meetings. Township lawyer.
There was some up there, but they weren't. Too much over the
There you go.